Welcome to the Debrief.
Your no-nonsense look
at the critical talent topics shaping today's landscape.
No scripts.
No sugarcoating.
Only spicy takes. Just real insight from across the industry.
I'm Ben Sesser.
I'm Chris Abbass.
I'm Tracy St.Dic, and this
is the Debrief.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Debrief. Today, we're asking, what were TA teams obsessed with that now no one actually cares about anymore? Some metrics, some initiatives, some priorities. They were once sacred, but now are being ignored. Candidate experience, time to hire, DEI efforts. Are they still top of mind, or are they relics of a past era? TA is rapidly evolving, faster than many organizations can adapt. So which parts of the function are stuck in the past, and which should we really be focusing on? So let's start by calling this out. We're going to go through a number of different topics, almost rapid fire, and we're going to hear from Ben and Chris and I on what we should keep doing, stop doing, or start doing in TA. Are y'all ready? Okay, let's start with KPIs, metrics. Oh my gosh, time to hire, time to fill, interview volume, applicant volume. Like, what should we care about? What should we not care about anymore?
Nobody is, I think a while back, people would be like, we're getting our applicants up. We're so excited. We did all these things. And now everyone wants the opposite. Like, so applicant volume is out. We used to be obsessed with driving applicant volume because we thought that would cast a wide net and get us, maybe quality would filter through, but now it's like literally the opposite. Everyone's drowning in applications, not a focus. So that's number one from my end. So I'll kick it to Chris maybe.
Yeah, I think expectations have dramatically increased and KPIs are more of a focus for teams. Now, I think they're the less like time to hire kind of metrics, but more funnel metrics. So I'm seeing a huge emphasis on top of funnel, kind of stage conversions, offer acceptance rates, and just the number of volume of kind of candidate screens per week, right? I think the volume that people are expected to hit now has been the highest I've probably seen in my career. And this is going from a time where I'd turn up to customers, like I'd say probably 50% of the customers we work with didn't measure anything across their team at all. It was very loose. So I think that the world has like really, really shifted. That's what I'm seeing.
That's interesting too, because I feel like with AI, you can look at these metrics so much more easily. So in a place where you might not have even been thinking about metrics or putting a lot of weight into them, now you can see them served up to you every single morning. Chris, I know you have a way to do this with your team. So does that make metrics actually more important? Okay, that's interesting. So I'm of two minds. One, I've always thought quality of hire is the most important. I think it still will be. My spicy take on that is I think a lot of people say the words quality of hire. There's 10 million definitions of it. I have rarely seen companies do this well, in my personal humble opinion. Of course, I think Zapier does it well, but I think there's so many ways to do it. So quality of hire still feels very nebulous. I think we still have to continue to figure it out, but people are focused more on that. Time to hire, time to fill is tricky for me because in some ways they measure recruiter speed and like hiring manager speed, not necessarily business outcomes. We know a fast bad hire is worse than a slow good one, but I really like them still because I think time to hire is your commitment to the candidate. It kind of gives you the guardrails for candidate experience to make sure you're not ghosting people or dragging them out. And I think of time to fill as the commitment to the business because the longer you drag out roles to be filled, the more hiring manager time, interview time. You're looking at interview hours per hire continues to increase. So I still feel like those are really important. I feel like I talk to TA leaders and I'm in the minority of that, or people say, we don't look at those anymore. I still look at them. I think they're useful, especially as we implement more with AI and try to determine how that's working for us.
We talked about this with graduate early career hiring as well, but I think it's under the same umbrella, which is just this impatience, right now. It's like everyone is trying to move at 1,000,000 miles an hour. They have no time to wait. And the thing with really strong diversity programs and diversity sourcing, it takes time, right? Those funnels take longer than other funnels. Attracting kind of underrepresented groups takes time. It takes a methodical approach. And I just think companies right now are trying to optimize for speed, right? And so DEI is getting kind of hurt in that regard. And I think until people have time to kind of slow down, that's probably where it's going to stay, unfortunately.
You think that speed is the reason it's getting hurt?
I think there's many reasons. I think that
I think there's probably some that are more important than other reasons.
Yeah.
I think I mean, it's true, and this one hurts my heart a lot. But DEI programs, as structured, as resourced, and as standalone initiatives, those have been cut or defunded or rebranded at many companies. I think a lot of times they've been rebranded, especially in the U.S. And this is what you're getting at, Ben. It's definitely political and partially economic as well. I think DEI count was the first to be cut in 2023 to 2024 layoffs, and I think there's some real tension there. I think there's two areas to disentangle though. There's like programmatic DEI, which is ERGs, supplier diversity, diversity specific recruiting partnerships. I feel like that's under a lot of pressure. A lot of TA teams, people teams are getting a lot of pressure from all over the place, within, without, inside the organization, outside the organization. So we've seen many organizations sunset these. Especially as these standalone initiatives. I also will say from a budget perspective, when TA teams had to start cutting and being really lean, sometimes spending money on anything that wasn't like your ATS and things that like were absolutely must have. So maybe diversity specific recruiting partnerships had to go under budget review. And so that's the economics is part of that. But then I think there's a piece that is structural access to talent, this underlying business case that you don't want to miss qualified candidates you've otherwise overlooked. I hope in my heart of hearts that hasn't changed. I don't think that's changed at my organization and at Zapier. We really want to ensure that we're actually expanding access because there is a hot talent market out there for top talent, and we need to ensure that everybody has access to opportunities, but also we are finding the gems wherever they may be, regardless of background, regardless of pedigree, schools you went to, schools you didn't go to, if you have a college degree or not. I actually think that diversity as a practice is becoming more important because of the perspective we need that leads to real business outcomes. So
there are a whole host of different things that are impacting DEI, right? We've got the political part that you mentioned. We've got, I guess, the speed thing that I mentioned. But I also think the kind of structural stuff, like more and more companies moving back in office and away from remote, where they could access, diverse and larger pools of candidates. I think companies, I think, are going back to the pedigree stuff a lot more now. They've got to come from a certain company, got to have a certain degree, can't be jumpy. There is a lot more of that going on right now. And I think that, those produce less diverse pools of candidates.
Can we unpack that one? Because I had my bucket of like, these are definitely less of a focus. I feel very confident. And then there was a bucket of like somewhat less of a focus or should be. And the where you've worked, I'm not sure that's definitively less of a I'm not sure where you've worked is definitively more of a focus. Like I actually think that there's like a case that it's the other way. I don't know if it's like definitely one or the other, but I definitely didn't have the impression that like people are more focused on pedigree.
Chris, like what are you seeing? Because I think that's interesting.
Way more. I mean, especially in the kind of hyperscalers, top tier AI companies, a lot of these companies, they need to have, they won't make an offer unless you've got 3 back channels, right? You've got 4 back channels. Like where do you think those back channels are coming from? Right? They're coming from people who have been at the same school as you, the same company, right? So I think that...
okay, I see what you're saying in that, right? Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think that
so it's a network-based approach. It's less about pedigree, but network.
And maybe. It just so happens that your network probably is a similar pedigree, the same companies, the same...
perpetuating.
Exactly. So it creates this like homogenous pool of talent, and you end up with a company that's full of people from Stripe, or full of people from Meta, or full of people from whatever company. And I think we're seeing more and more of that. Definitely, that seems to be a big thing that we're seeing.
Which is so fascinating because at the most senior levels of a lot of these companies, it's like there is I think, belief that's put into the world that's, AI, like I'll hire the kid that didn't even go to high school and is like AI native and, like this like there's the belief that, AI is this like meritocratic technology and like, anyone with the right mindset and those tools, like, let's go, like just, as long as they're willing to sleep on a mattress, 996, let's do it. So to hear that it's actually not that from you is an interesting one for me. Yeah.
I just wonder how that's going to change. I think we need to keep watching that because I think there is absolutely, Chris, you have such a good point there around like the networks and the back channels and who but I think there's also this piece on it's not just where you came from, but what you can do now. Mm-hmm. AI is changing so rapidly. I like to think that it's making a little bit more things more democratic in some ways, that it's leveling the playing field where people can like jump in, learn this tool and what we were saying on an earlier pod, like that learning velocity is something that we're really looking for, those soft skills. You can have soft skills and learning velocity no matter where your background comes from. So I think there's still room for people to really impress you, which is why I think being able to focus on not only accessing and identifying talent that might not be so obvious, but also ensuring that candidates from all backgrounds can put their best foot forward in your process to ensure your process is accessible and inclusive is going to allow for higher quality, which again, I've said is the most important thing.
Another one that I know we mentioned earlier, Chris, I think you mentioned this maybe before we jumped on and we were recording, which is definitely less of a focus, is like headcount as the flex. Like, hey, join us. We're like 1,000 people. We're 1,500. We're growing. I mean, not growth, but like headcount growth as the flex. And I'll double click into that. And maybe this is just, like the folks that like I'm talking to every day, but like for TA leaders, recruiting team size as the flex. Now it's like the opposite flex. It's like, look what we're doing with this small team size. So I think that used to be a huge focus. It's like, I got a team of 100 people, we're 1,000 people. And now it's like the opposite. It's like, we do this massive amount of revenue with like one person. Yeah. I'm the only recruiter. And
we hired 100 people last month with only 2 recruiters. And you're like, oh God, that's so cool. How did you do it?
It's like sleep hours have gone down. Team size is also down.
I'll tell you more about how cool it was when I check out of the hospital from exhaustion.
Yeah.
Do we agree that that's all? Do we all agree that that's like definitely used to be a focus and is not?
I totally agree.
Even myself, like I used to be proud of like how many people I had, right, in my business. Like that used to be something that I was like, oh yeah, I can't wait till we get to this head count and this head count. And now I couldn't care less. Like
what's funny is, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but like this actually just happened to me yesterday. When I was at Unleash. I was talking to a woman and she asked how many people worked at Brighthire, and I told her, she was like, really? I thought you were like way more people. And that used to make me self-conscious. But now people are like, like that's a flex. Like, wow, I thought you guys were like way, way bigger. And I'm like, nope, that's it. So yeah.
You hear people with really big teams. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But you hear people with really big teams, and you're like, that seems superfluous, and like you're wasting a lot of energy. You all should probably use AI. So that's like what I think when I hear that. Okay, here's another one. Candidate experience. Do we still care about it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I don't think that that's fallen by the wayside. That's not. I have no impression that is not a focus anymore.
Yeah, I think it's going to get more important, if anything, because AI is going to democratize the attraction part and the acquisition part of talent. It's going to be how can you convince them to join you, and so
totally.
I'm thinking about should I run like sales training for my recruiters? Like, are recruiters going to just become expert salespeople, and it's going to be like a full-on sales process. Rather than like a recruiting process, because the top of funnel is really going to be taken care of.
I would have them train at the Four Seasons. I'm not sure salespeople universally deliver the best experience. So, like, I would love to believe that, but I just I feel like there's maybe a different set of training if that's what your goal is. Yeah,
Brighthire salespeople, of course, Ben, they do amazing.
Because the people. Yeah.
I would say candidate experience as a metric, maybe like NPS and satisfaction surveys, like those maybe be prioritized a little bit more. I think once you're starting to get 5,000 applications overnight and you have fraud rates at 30%, you just like have to prioritize something, and candidate experience might not be it, especially top of the funnel. But I think the actual practice of treating people with transparency and respect, and really ensuring that they want to join your company, that you have strong cultivation practices, like that is going to set companies apart. And AI can either enable that or degrade it depending on how you deploy.
What about hiring manager experience? Do you think that's more of a focus, less of a focus, or no change?
I would either say no change or less of a focus. I think like we are always accountable to stakeholders, but it's not something that I'm measuring. I kind of expect my hiring managers to be my partner. And if they're not having a good experience, like they should partner with us to change that. But I don't put that on TA. Solely.
Right. Chris, what's your
take?
take?
It's a team sport.
Yeah, I agree with Tracy.
Yeah. I don't. My very vibes impression is less of a focus. Like I felt like TA teams would really bend over backwards and really kind of, at least from my perspective, like spend more brain power on what's the feedback survey we're getting, how are we performing, and now it's a little bit more like, are they doing their job? Pushing the teams more, like because maybe there's more context, but there's more visibility, there's more data around the their role in the process. But yeah, it feels like a little bit less of focus to me.
Yeah. Let's do one more. Talent attraction, talent brand. Do we care about it?
Well, I don't know if it's more of a focus, but it's definitely, I don't think it's become less of a focus. Like, because, yes, I don't think applicant volume is like a focus, and you might associate with talent brand, but you're still doing outreach. You're still sourcing. And so talent brand, like, people respond, you want your response rates to be high, and you want people who you hook to be excited about what the organization stands for and does. So I don't think it's become less of a focus.
Yeah. Authenticity is up on branding, and like generic bullshit is down. And it's about companies being like really true of who they are. They're like good, bad, and the ugly. So you can actually filter out people who aren't a right fit for you. I think before we wanted to, like Ben said, we wanted to capture as much inbound flow as possible. So we wanted to appeal to everyone. Now there's too much inbound flow. We want to make sure that we're filtering out the people who don't fit. So I think people are now, it's like they have permission to say like all the things that are wrong with their culture, and be very upfront with that.
I totally agree with that. I think that talent attraction, as traditionally defined before, like employer brand campaigns or job board spend or just for general awareness building, that's definitely losing urgency and budget at a lot of orgs. I think inbound volume is overwhelming. So I think talent attraction matters for really specific talent pools, whether that's senior executives, niche technical talent, maybe passive candidates. To your point, Ben, we want people to respond and know enough about our brand to be like interested. But I think as a broad TA investment category, it's really losing budget priority to other infrastructure pieces like screening infrastructure, so to speak. So I think it's more like precision marketing at this point, not broadcast. And I think that orgs that are still running like big employer brand campaigns generally about like, we're a great company and we have great people and we have great values, like I think they're solving the wrong problem and probably contributing to the noise they're getting.
Now I will say we are focused on a little bit of a tech bubble, and there's
True.
plenty.
Good
if you think about healthcare and some of these other industries, like they're running huge budget programmatic display ad campaigns to actually attract applicants and to get the right folks. So I think it's important to always remember that we're talking about a very, very particular slice of the world, and yeah.
I think the intersection of product brand and talent brand is becoming much closer together. And I would argue that a lot of places, whether that's in tech or elsewhere, are looking a lot more at product brand as a way to boost talent brand. It's less about like we have nap pods and it's, so
our kombucha selection is posted
exactly.
on our page.
Yeah. And it's just like, it's super touchy feely. I think it's like our product is awesome. It's on a rocket ship, or our product is more ethical than our competitors, whatever it is. I think that there's more of a focus on product, and I think that's the right direction for sure. Okay, spicy takes. Ben, you teased us that you had one, so you go first.
I think there's a new metric that'd be interesting to prioritize, which is the number of candidates considered, right? So when I say considered, I don't mean like I glanced at the resume. I mean like, what's the number of candidates that you give like a deeper shot to? Because AI, we talked about this a little bit in our AI interviewer podcast, but I think in general, like gives us the ability to cast a wider net to find those hidden gems in a way that wasn't possible before, where all the work was more manual. And so like a flex to say, look, I don't think it's fair or right to give everyone a deep shot if they're not qualified, but like a way to measure like the percentage of candidates or the number of candidates that are qualified that you're able to consider, I think is potentially an interesting metric to consider, and would be a flex, because it speaks to surfacing gems and giving a better candidate experience and more folks a shot to find the right fit.
I feel like we're in like a super results focused environment right now. Like it just feels like everyone's going back to first principles. We maybe lost our way. Things got a bit fluffy for a while. We got detached from the core kind of principle of what everything's all about, and we're returning to that. Maybe it's like swinging too hard that way, but I feel like that's what's happening. Like if it doesn't produce a result very quickly and obviously, then it's out. And that's what I think.
Profit per recruiter. Like,
yeah,
just like, let's go. Yeah.
That's it. That's what it feels like. And I think there's good things about that, because it really is hyper focus, what matters the most, but it also can tend to feel transactional. And I think that's, the balance that's happening right now.
My spicy take is We need to do away with cover letters if they're still out there. I really hope not. I am also really tired of resumes. I think they serve no purpose except for like maybe where you worked and how long you worked there. And I'm also starting to get really tired of applications. And I'm starting to think even more that they serve no purpose. And so trying to figure out what do we replace it with is the question. But those three things, everything that's traditional about top of the funnel, I largely don't put a lot of stock in anymore because of how AI enabled they are. So we either have to scrap it, get something new, or redesign it completely, but they are not working for TA right now in most or many cases.
I don't know if resumes are useless as a hot take anymore. I'm not sure. I think that might be mainstream. I think that's mainstream. I think that's like.
I just don't love it when people say replace resumes just with LinkedIn, because I think we can't just have like one platform that we go to for all this information. So
portfolios. I want to see portfolios. I think that's the new resume.
I want a live demo, a live demo. Yeah, my spice take is actually, I think by the end of this year, we'll see the first job spec with salary plus token allowance.
Say more. Say 2 sentences more.
So yeah, I think we're going to be starting to budget how much AI use each discipline has in the organization. That's going to have to be a budget line because the cost is going to get too much to just have it as an ancillary kind of by the side cost. So I think we're going to start seeing that being in budget lines for when we put roles live, either internally, but I also think externally.
Interesting. I wonder if people will start to apply and say like, this is what I do and this is my average token cost per week.
Or this is my this is my expected budget for tokens.
Yeah, exactly. Because
right? It's a perk. Like, it's not a perk, but it's like, I want like a nice MacBook that can like power the type of work I want to do.
That's a good point.
I want, like 2-3 monitors because that's how I work best. Hey, I need at least $5,000 worth of tokens a month, or else I can't run all my agents that like help me be my best self.
Yeah. Do you think people are going to come fully loaded to work with their own agents, like their own agent setup, and they bring that with them, and that's like been trained on them and their ways of working, and that's going to be they take it everywhere with them?
I'm sure that's a funded business right now, and someone's building the security and trust layer to allow people to bring their own personal agents into the environment, because you put a lot of time and investment into it, and you adapt, and it adapts to the way that you want to work, and there's
does that become? Is that like your former company's property though? Like if you're building it on their enterprise licenses and you're building a digital twin with their context layer, is that their property? That's a different episode.
Wait. An employee referral motion to refer agents.
Oh,
think about it. I had this great agent I used to work with. Yeah. I don't know where that goes.
I used to work with. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, thanks everybody for listening to the debrief. If you like this episode, hit like and follow the show so you never miss an episode. More hot takes, more real talk, and talent insights coming your way next time. So tune in and get the debrief.